Okay, so are you ready to dive into the world of mind maps today?
Always ready for a deep dive, especially one that promises to unlock learning superpowers.
Yeah, those colorful brain-bending diagrams, they really are fascinating.
That's right. They promise to help kids learn faster and remember more.
And maybe even help us adults, too.
We're about to find out.
Right. We're going deep into Tony Buzan's mind maps for kids to see if this technique really lives up to all the hype.
I mean, Buzan is considered the father of mind mapping.
Yeah, that's right.
He kind of wrote this book as like a guide for kids to unlock the power of this learning tool.
And I have to say, I'm all about finding ways to make learning, more engaging and effective.
Hmm.
So let's see what Buzan has to offer.
Okay.
He kicks off the book with a pretty bold claim.
Hmm.
Mind maps are like a shortcut to success at school.
Yeah.
But what's the thinking behind that?
Well, he argues that traditional note-taking actually limits our learning potential.
Okay.
Think about it, lists of words all in one color. It only engages one side of the brain. Mind maps, on the other hand, they tap into both our logical and creative sides,
Oh.
using visuals and colors and spatial organization to make learning more intuitive and fun.
So it's not just about memorizing facts, it's about understanding them in a deeper way.
Exactly. Mind maps mimic how our brains naturally connect ideas, branching out like a web instead of following like a straight line.
Okay.
This makes it easier to see the big picture, make connections, and remember information.
That makes sense. So instead of just jotting down notes in a linear fashion, we're creating like a visual representation of the information,
Hmm.
using words, colors, lines, and even pictures,
Right.
all stemming from a central idea.
Hmm.
Buzan calls this a secret formula for learning. I'm intrigued.
He uses a simple example to illustrate this, a mind map about my house.
Okay.
Imagine, you're drawing a house in the center of your paper.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And then branching out from the house, you would draw lines to represent different rooms, like the kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, and so on.
Hmm.
You could even use different colored pens for each room and add little doodles to make it even more memorable.
So it's almost like creating a mental map of your house, but with added visual cues to help the information stick.
Precisely. And by engaging multiple senses, sight, color, spatial awareness, you're creating a richer learning experience that's more likely to stick in your brain.
All right, I'm ready to unlock this secret formula.
Mm-hmm.
What are the steps to creating a mind map?
Okay, so Buzan outlines 5 key steps. First, you start with a blank sheet of paper turned sideways, and right smack in the middle, you draw an image that represents your main topic.
Okay.
This becomes the central focus of your mind map.
So if we were doing a mind map about, say, animals, we draw a big animal in the center.
Exactly. Then from that central image, you draw thick, curved lines or branches, radiating outwards for each of the main ideas related to your subject.
So for animals, we might have branches for mammals, birds, reptiles, fish.
You got it. And then you would label each branch and maybe draw a little picture underneath each one to further illustrate the idea. Remember, mind maps use both words and pictures to engage both sides of the brain.
And I'm guessing colors come into play here, too.
Absolutely. Buzan emphasizes the importance of using different colors for each branch and underlining keywords to make the mind map even more visually stimulating.
Okay, so we've got our central image, our main branches, and we're using colors and pictures. What's next?
From each of those initial branches, you can draw more lines like the branches of a tree,
Ah.
adding details and further thoughts related to each idea.
So under mammals, we might have branches for different types of mammals, lions, elephants, dolphins,
Yeah.
and we'd keep branching out, adding more details as we go.
Right. It starts to look like a tree or even like a spider web
Uh-huh.
with information radiating out from the central idea. And the beauty of it is there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's all about finding what works best for you and making it your own.
And just to be clear, you don't have to be an artist to create a mind map.
Not at all. Stick figures and simple doodles are perfectly fine. It's not about artistic talent. It's about using visual thinking to enhance your understanding.
Buzan even provides a completed example in the book, right?
He does. It's a mind map about someone's likes with a person in the center. And branches for things like animals, football computers, music, and dancing.
Okay.
Each of those branches has even more branches with additional details.
So you can really get granular with it and explore different layers of information. It's almost like creating a visual brainstorm of your thoughts.
That's a great way to think about it, and it can be applied to so many different areas, not just school subjects.
Well, speaking of school subjects, let's see how mind maps can be used in action across different areas of learning. Buzan gives some interesting examples for English, starting with the old suitcase example.
Oh, yeah. This one is all about using mind maps to structure essays and spark creative writing ideas.
Okay.
He asks the reader to imagine finding an old suitcase in the attic full of forgotten treasures, and then guides them through creating a mind map to plan out a story about the suitcase.
I love that. It's like a visual brainstorming session for your story.
Exactly. And he emphasizes that a good essay has 5 essential parts:
Okay.
a strong introduction, interesting content, a solid conclusion, good spelling, and neat handwriting.
Wow.
He shows how mind maps can help improve each of these areas by providing a visual roadmap for the essay.
So it helps you organize your thoughts and make sure you're covering all the key points. And I bet it makes the writing process a lot less daunting.
Absolutely. And then for history, Buzan uses the Viking invasion example to show how mind maps can transform the learning of historical events from rote memorization to a more engaging process.
Instead of just memorizing names and dates, you're creating a visual story of the invasion, including details about, their weapons, their armor, their tactics.
Uh-huh.
It makes history come alive.
Right. And he provides a mind map example, showing how to break down the event into key elements like the reasons for the invasion. The key figures involve the major battles and the lasting impact on history. It's a much more engaging way to learn and remember historical facts.
I wish I had this tool when I was in school. Memorizing dates was always my downfall.
And even for math, Buzan suggests using mind maps to understand mathematical concepts and formulas in a visual way. He even uses an example of understanding different types of triangles.
Triangles? Really?
Yes. He uses a mind map to break down the different types of triangles: equilateral, scalene, isosceles, right-angled,
Right.
and their properties like the length of their sides and the degrees of their angles. It's a great way to visualize and remember those geometric concepts.
I never would have thought of using mind maps for math, but it actually makes a lot of sense. It's taking something that can feel very abstract and making it more concrete.
And for science, he shows how mind maps can simplify complex scientific concepts, like the states of matter or the water cycle.
Imagine trying to explain the water cycle to a child. It's a complex process with all these different stages. Buzan suggests using a mind map to break it down visually.
Yeah.
You can have a central image of a raindrop, then branches showing evaporation, condensation, precipitation. Suddenly, this abstract concept becomes a visual story that's easier to grasp.
It's about taking those complex concepts and breaking them down into smaller, more manageable chunks, making them easier to understand and remember.
So we've seen how mind maps can be applied to different school subjects. But Buzan also emphasizes that the benefits extend far beyond the classroom.
Absolutely. They can be used for brainstorming, problem-solving, planning projects. Just about anything where you need to organize your thoughts and explore different ideas.
Like a Swiss Army knife for your brain.
Exactly. And one area where Buzan sees mind maps as particularly powerful is in exam preparation.
Ah, yes, acing those exams. That's a topic most students are interested in.
He dedicates a whole chapter to this, explaining how mind maps can help you organize your notes, make connections between different concepts, and ultimately remember information more effectively.
So instead of frantically cramming the night before a test, you're using mind maps to create a visual web of knowledge that makes it easier to recall information.
Exactly. He even suggests taking a few minutes at the start of the exam to create a mind map
Oh, wow.
of the key topics or concepts you've studied.
Oh.
It's like a brain dump of everything you know, which helps get you in the zone and primes your brain for recalling information.
It sounds like a great way to combat those exam nerves. Just having everything laid out visually can help you feel more confident and in control.
I agree. It's like having a secret weapon in your arsenal. And he even compares the process of creating mind maps to catching butterflies.
Okay, I'm curious about this butterfly analogy.
He says that every time you catch a new idea, it's like adding another butterfly to your net. And the more butterflies you catch, the bigger and stronger your net becomes, making it easier to catch even more ideas.
So you're building this web of knowledge that keeps growing and expanding. I love that analogy.
It's a powerful way to think about learning. It's not about memorizing isolated facts. It's about making connections and building a rich network of understanding.
This is all starting to sound really appealing. But does Buzan only focus on the academic side of things? I mean, kids have lives outside of school.
You're right, and Buzan acknowledges that. He actually encourages kids to use mind maps for all sorts of fun stuff, too.
All right, let's dive into the fun stuff.
He suggests using mind maps for things like planning a party, designing your dream bedroom or even crafting a captivating story.
Okay, that sounds way more exciting than memorizing historical dates.
Yeah.
What kind of guidance does he offer for these fun activities?
He provides step-by-step instructions,
Hmm.
encouraging kids to really let their imaginations run wild. For instance, for party planning, he suggests starting with a central image of a balloon
Okay,
to symbolize the celebration,
makes sense. Balloons definitely scream party time.
and then branching out from that balloon. You could have lines representing different aspects of the party,
Right.
like the date, time, location, guest list, food, music, decorations, even the theme.
It's like a party blueprint,
Mm,
but way more visual and engaging than a boring old checklist.
exactly. But he doesn't just stop at the logistics.
Ah.
He also encourages kids to think about the why behind the party. What's the purpose? Who is it for? What will make it special and memorable?
So it's not just about throwing a party, it's about crafting an experience.
Yeah, I like that.
And for the bedroom makeover, he suggests starting with a central image of a bedroom, of course. But then he encourages kids to think about their ideal space,
No.
their favorite colors, the furniture. They'd love to have the posters they'd hang on the walls.
So it's not just about tidying up. It's about creating a space that truly reflects their personality.
Right. He guides them through creating branches for different areas of the room, like the walls, the furniture, the storage, even a section for their pets. And he includes a branch for change.
Prompting them to think about why they want to change their room, what they want to keep, and how they can make their vision a reality.
This is brilliant. I bet this would have saved me a ton of arguments with my parents when I was a teenager wanting to redecorate.
And for creative writing, he uses the lost jug example to show how mind maps can help kids brainstorm story ideas and develop compelling narratives.
Oh, I remember this one. He asks kids to imagine a lost jug and then create a mind map to explore all the details about it.
Exactly. Things like its color, material, age, where it might be now, who might have lost it. He even encourages them to think about its potential magical properties, who made it, and what makes it so special.
It's like a detective story for their imagination.
And then, using the mind map as a guide, they can craft a story around this mysterious lost jug, bringing it to life with their own creativity and imagination.
I can already see how this would help kids break free from writer's block and come up with more creative and original stories. It's like giving them a framework for their imagination to run wild.
Precisely. And that's really what Busan is all about, empowering kids to think differently, to organize their thoughts, and to unleash their creativity. It's about seeing the world in a new way, a more visual and connected way.
It's interesting, isn't it? If mind mapping is so effective for kids, how could adults use this technique in their own lives?
That's a great question, and one that Busan actually addresses in the book. He believes that mind maps can be just as beneficial for adults as they are for kids.
So it's not just a tool for school, it's a tool for life.
Exactly. Think about all the areas where adults could benefit from mind mapping planning projects at work, brainstorming new ideas, making decisions, setting goals, even just organizing their thoughts.
It's like having a secret weapon for productivity and creativity, but one that's fun and engaging to use.
And it can be incredibly helpful for tackling those overwhelming tasks that can leave you feeling stressed and stuck. Instead of getting bogged down in a linear to-do list, you can use a mind map to break down the task into smaller, more manageable steps. Visualize the process and identify potential roadblocks.
I can see how that would be helpful for things like planning a vacation, organizing a big event, or even just decluttering your house.
Right. And it can also be a great way to spark your creativity and come up with new ideas. Whether you're working on a creative project, trying to solve a problem, or just looking for a new way to approach a challenge, mind mapping can help you tap into your creative potential.
It's like giving your brain a jump start, helping you see things from a different perspective. But I'm curious, does Busan have any advice for adults who are new to mind mapping? Where do they even begin?
He encourages adults to start simple and not overthink it. Just grab a piece of paper and a pen and start brainstorming. Don't worry about making it perfect. Just let your thoughts flow onto the page.
So no need to be intimidated by the artistic aspect of it.
Not at all. Stick figures and simple doodles are perfectly fine. Remember, it's about the process of connecting ideas, not about creating a masterpiece. And he encourages adults to experiment with different mind mapping techniques and find what works best for them. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
That's reassuring. So if mind mapping can help us learn faster, remember more, boost our creativity, and even make us more productive, what's the downside?
Honestly, I'm not sure there is one. Well, I suppose some people might find it a bit messy or chaotic at first, especially if they're used to thinking in a very linear way.
I could see that. It's definitely a different way of approaching information.
But even then, I think the benefits far outweigh the potential drawbacks. It's about embracing a new way of thinking, a way that aligns with how our brains naturally work.
So what's Bizan's ultimate takeaway message for readers?
He believes that mind maps can not only help you get the grades, but also live a more fulfilling life. It's about tapping into the full potential of your brain, unleashing your creativity, and making learning a joyful and rewarding experience.
Like he's giving you permission to color outside the lines, to think outside the box, and to see the connections that you might have missed otherwise. And it's about breaking free from those rigid linear constraints and really embracing the natural way our brains are wired to learn.
Exactly. And the best part, it's actually fun. Who knew note-taking and learning could be enjoyable?
It does sound like it takes the dread out of studying
Yeah.
and turns it into a much more creative and engaging activity. I'm feeling inspired to try it out myself.
I encourage you to. You might be surprised at how much it changes the way you think and learn.
So if you're looking for a way to, boost your learning, spark your creativity, and just have more fun with information, give mind mapping a try.
Yeah,
Who knows, it might just unlock a whole new world of possibilities.
it very well could. As Bazan says, it's about, tapping into your full potential
Yeah.
and making learning a joyful experience.
Well, that's it for our deep dive into the world of mind mapping. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and are feeling inspired to give this powerful technique a whirl.
Until next time, keep those minds buzzing and those mind maps flowing.
You can remember there's always more to learn and explore, so
Yeah.
keep those curious minds engaged.